Hello, collective healing circle. So, I have not gotten my software yet. And we're just going to have to keep waiting. Am I happy about it? No. There are other changes, big changes that I'm trying to do, and I keep running into roadblocks. But you know what? That can't stop me from giving you guys what you need. And I realize that I need to give you what you need to the best of my ability with what it is that I have. So that's what I'm going to do. So hello, and this is your Tuesday Talks. They're on Wednesday. And I mentioned putting an end to roadblocks for this video because this week is about that. When we look at what's been taking place in terms of Mercury being in Leo, and I mentioned this on the main page, and I mentioned it in writing, when we talk about that energy, it's 8th house activation. So this has brought on an interesting perspective for you guys, Capricorns, right? Obviously, the Mercury retrograde is Mercury retrograde. It causes slowdowns and blockages and things like that. But for you guys in specific, it's all tied to 8th house energy. And that's why the summertime Leo season can always be a bit, and Cancer, the combination of Cancer season and Leo season can always be a bit of a doozy for you guys, because of the way, the things that it activates, whereas for the rest of the collective, it's a little different. But for you, it's 7th house and 8th house activation, and Cancer is your opposite, to whereas Leo is the depths of your darkness, it's your dark corners. So this is a part of what's coming up. Now, in this energy for this year in specific, because we are in this merger between Pluto and this dance between Pluto, the last 2 years for you guys have been very intense because you've been pushing out of a karmic cycle and into a new paradigm. It is so important to understand that that is not easy. That is not simple. I can try to simplify it as much as I can. And I think I do a good job at trying to be as realistic as possible. But life is life, And when we are moving forward, if it's difficult, we're not always aware, If there's a storm and you're being pulled back and there are all of these things and there's mud, and you don't always register the fact that you're walking forward when all of these things are happening around you, right? You're getting out of one situation into the other, but it comes with what it comes with. It's just the way that it is. And so as you've been in this transition between the old paradigm to new paradigm, and obviously Pluto amplified your entire life paradigm. So it's not like we're just saying, or I'm just saying, let's just speak for myself, that the Capricorn Pluto was just this horrible time and it came out of nowhere. It literally was a amplification of your already written karma. Whether it is past life, whether it was the life you are already living, it amplified and intensified the life that was already written. Okay, so that's why for many of you, themes that you may have had in childhood, especially if you're a little older, the themes that you may have had in childhood found you in the Capricorn Pluto and blew up, right? And over again, highs, lows, and it cycles in the same thing over and over, right? You're shifting out of that paradigm, not because of just Pluto, but you're shifting out of the paradigm of transformation. And you are not done. You're just not, You've been doing this and moving through this. And of course, because many of you are you're not necessarily registering the amount at which you've changed in a very short period of time. Whereas on the outside, it can be recognized maybe by others, but for you being in yourself, it just could feel like a lot of resilience, a lot of rising above, etc. So this kind of energy obviously has been moving you. So as we've been moving and transitioning and growing, you've been doing the best that you can. Let's just say that, right? So when we look at what's going on with this week in terms of this energy, Mercury is moving out of, Mercury is moving out of retrograde, but it's still staying in Leo. So as it's moving out of retrograde, but maintaining itself in Leo, you are still going through 8th house activation. And so as you are still in the 8th house energy, these themes tied to restrictions, things that are causing major resistance. You could also be dealing with an intensification. I don't know if intensification is a word. An intense, I guess, experience tied to what it is that you feel like is restricting you, what it is that you feel like is binding you. Kind of like what I mentioned in August, where I was talking about the ties that bind, you know? It's that same perspective, but amplified, and it's conversations around that. When Mercury goes direct, which I believe is today, this is where you start to have conversations around this, and you're going to be doing this all throughout September, and this week is the beginning of September. It's that conversation of, okay, this is what's going on, going on tied to these matters, these restrictive, heavier matters, these dark corners. Could also be people wanting to speak to you, be more honest about what it is that they feel, especially tied to love matters. If you the love reading from August was mentioning how things were not being spoken, that really people were feeling things but not speaking them to you, and that kind of energy. And so this kind of being released in terms of conversation finally happening, you being more honest and vocal about what's going on in terms of, again, the ties that bind, debts, whatever it may be, contracts, the heavier matters, right? And you're doing this because you want to release, you want to unveil, okay? You want to break the chains. This is a result of the theme that has been carrying on for a long time. What you're going through in this moment is an outside reflection of something that has been carrying you your entire paradigm and was amplified during the Capricorn Pluto. So if it's an issue tied to love, it could be all of it, honestly, because it's really what's going on internally. That's why I focus on the internal with you guys, because anything that we experience in our external is a reflection of what's going on in our internal. So if it is legal matters, if it is contracts, if it is love restrictions, whatever, it could be addictions as well when we're talking about the 8th house. Your secrets, where you unveil that you need help versus when you keep things to yourself. What you really reveal to other people versus what you keep private. And how other people do the same dance with you, keeping secrets, all of the above. So now that we're looking at Mercury going direct, all of these things get revealed, whether it's you revealing your truth and what it is that you truly desire around these matters, or other people revealing them to you. Either way, it's this unveiling, I guess, right? And it's different this year, and it can feel scary, it can feel intense, it can feel like a lot of things, because again, you're shifting entire paradigms. When I keep saying that you're putting an end to karma, you're putting an end to a big perspective, right? We want it to sound easy when it's like, oh, putting an end to karma, and it's going to be easy, it's going to go from like point A to point B. No. If you're talking about shifting out an entire paradigm, it takes time. It's just like carving away at something, and you've been doing that all year. So that's where the idea that the Capricorn Pluto is like being gone just meant that everything was supposed to be very simple. In the first 6-month reading that I did, the first half of the year, we were talking about 10 of Cups energy, right? Needing to align with 10 of Cups despite all of the obstacles that were taking place, because it was finding the joy in the things that were not perfect. And it wasn't 10 of Pentacles. It was a matter of understanding that you were being broken down in order to understand what just peace, for the most part, and what happiness meant to you and for you based on your own authenticity and not the external. Here we are looking at the other half of the year, and I believe we have the sun at the bottom of the deck. So the sun is wonderful because it's positive and all of these things, but it's also about illumination. Okay? So where things are illuminated, the dark is no longer the dark. So that's the shadow side of it, right? Brightness, positivity, release. But then also maybe things are getting released that you're not necessarily comfortable with. Conversations are being had that you're not necessarily comfortable with, But it's to get you out of a paradigm. So that's why when we're looking at this week and we see putting an end to roadblocks. So things have been challenging you, especially throughout the Mercury retrograde, especially while Mercury was in Leo, because it is your 8th house. So hyper aware of the restrictions, hyper aware of like, and a part of what makes it more difficult is because in the past, if you were up against certain restrictions, they could have felt so restrictive that you guys could have put yourself in kind of the sacrificial goat kind of energy, surrendering to it, you know, versus now there's been this light and dark dance with you all year. So like, really, really happy, not feeling really positive, not right. This kind of back and forth. So with this stance kind of going in and out, that's a part of the reason why the things that are restricting you or can feel like they are binding you can feel really, really difficult and very, very stressful. Because it can feel like, okay, 10 steps forward, 8 steps back. You know, and it's like, why can't you get what it is that you want to be released kind of deal, you know? So when we're looking at this week, because Mercury is going direct and a lot of the other things that are happening in our paradigm with Pluto going into Capricorn, there is an end to what it is that you've been trying to push past, right? And that is, and when that happens in terms of September 1st, you're going back in time. But you're going back in time in a way where it's ending old cycles, yes. And so that, in a way, puts an end to roadblocks when it comes to what it is that you're currently dealing with, what it is that you currently tolerated. You're getting a chance to revisit the karma to change the way you relate to the karma. And Mercury going direct in terms of releasing whatever restrictions, communication issues, and whatever blockages that might be there. Okay, so I'm going to pull 2 cards. You know what? I think it's interesting. I think this video is actually, it's public. Okay. Wow, healing circle. I made this video public. Oh, that's fine. Hello. You guys are getting an entryway into what it's like being in a healing circle. This video will go being private after. But nonetheless, so I'm going to pull some cards in terms of what it is that we can expect for the week. And after this video, I'm going to get right into the guided meditation for the Wednesday wheel. Okay, so after I close this out, I'm going to get started on the next one. And again, I apologize for the noise. Okay, we got the Ace of Wands. Oh, hold on. Okay. Ace of Wands came right back. She's definitely showing herself. You got the Ace of Wands along with the Ace of Pentacles. Oh, that's powerful. Okay. Ah, wow, okay. I'm liking this energy a lot. So we see here that you are protected, okay? So the biggest thing to keep in mind all week is that you are protected. Protected on a large scale, protected by the divine, protected in all of the things that are going out in front of you. I'm going to read this for you guys. And this is also fire energy for me, okay? And this comes along with what's going on tied to these two here. We've got the Ace of Wands, which is fire, and the Ace of Pentacles, which is earth. Very volcanic, right? When we're seeing energy here. So we're looking at the way in which leading through fire is going to allow you to ground yourself in a new stable beginning, which is powerful. So being passionate, forward moving, unafraid and unapologetic. So we're looking at new beginnings here. This is volcano energy. This is eruption energy. the fire comes out, the earth gets born. New earth is born. Okay? Beautiful. And we see this tide. So this fire energy here. Do not turn away from your path, nor from what you know in your heart to be true. No matter what appears to be, nor what logic may dictate, trust what your heart is telling you. You are safe and protected by spirit. You are spiritually empowered with all that you need to manifest your authentic soul path. You have what it takes to connect with light and live that connection in practical ways which contribute a positive energy to the human collective. The biggest thing about this energy that I love is because it's always talking about practical, okay? And I love the word practical, because when we look at practicality, we mean, oftentimes it gets misconstrued, right? It sounds like a boring energy, but practicality means that we are living our dream state in reality, okay? We are taking what is non-physical and being able to create it in the physical. That is the definition of alchemy. That is magicianship. So when we're looking at this energy, this is what's so powerful about this week. And it begins now. Here we are. We're in it. So whatever subjects that you guys have going on, whatever it is that you're trying to create, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's a matter of understanding that regardless of what logic may dictate, okay, whatever red tape that is in front of you, you can get to the other side, okay? You are protected to see through your manifestations in a practical way. So this volcanic energy, where the fire goes off and is grounded in new earth, is a possibility, is the possibility for this week. You'll be getting a new, and I love this because we're looking here at September 1st. And September 1st is not just the beginning of a new month. It's the beginning of a moment, right? Because we're looking at Pluto going back into Capricorn. It's a revisitation of the past. Looking again at the old generation. You're not done with this, by the way, because next year is the year of the 9. That is the true year of completion before we get to the 1, which is 2026. But the 9 year is a whole different energy, and we're not going to get into that right now. But it's going to be more positive in terms of how you're finishing cycles, because Chiron is going into Taurus, and it's tied around your self-worth. And Taurus is your pleasure sector. And so that's your first year of understanding how to restore your relationship with pleasure, like what we were going through during Taurus season throughout April and May, and how you guys were looking at what that meant for you. That gets amplified all next year, okay? But nonetheless, while we're here in the year of the 8, the year of karma, Capricorn is 8, we're seeing how you're going to be looking at the past in order to finalize your own karma during the Capricorn Pluto return, okay? So that's September 1st. That is when this old comes back into the new, but it doesn't have to kill you. Doesn't have to wound you. It's actually an energy of understanding that the new brings about the grounding energy of what it is that you need to create, the volcano, okay? Here's the past, here's the old earth, and here are the old plants and the old situation. Let the volcano erupt. That's how you deal with karma, right? That's how you deal with the past. Create new earth. There's no other more solid way to do that. Going into the complete beginning, right? So this is beautiful because you're bringing about new things. Whatever it is that's on the horizon for you guys this week is obviously the beginning of what you're going to be planning out with doing this month. And step out of the space of insecurity, because whatever logic is around you, and I do feel like you guys could probably be tested because other people could be telling you what you can and cannot do, or what you can achieve and what you cannot achieve, right? Step into the space of the volcano. Allow the lava to erupt, like I said, new earth. You're in charge of it. And there's no one that can stop that. Yeah, if somebody said, well, we have this entire landmass full of erosion. How are we going to revive this land? It's going to take 20 years. How are we going to start over? All of these things are here. This old volcano erupts. That's simple. It's new. I used to live near a volcano. And it was interesting, I will say. the sulfur in the air. I stood on top of it, and they have well, I'm telling you guys a story, but it's like they have an area where you can go and I guess do kind of a touristy kind of thing. And people would come from all over to see the volcano. And I had a selenite necklace that I put into the volcano at the time because it was my way of getting rid of the karma tied to it. But what's interesting is when I was standing on top of there, obviously you're at the top of the volcano and you smell the sulfur in the air. And you can go through that experience. Versus when I was on the ground and I lived right underneath it, you saw the lava moving through the area. And it moves very slowly, and how there was nothing that you could do. There was nothing that you could try to say to Mother Earth at that moment. This is going to be what it is, and this is complete. And you cannot push against this. You cannot try to resist this. Right? This is how you bring about a new earth. This is how you bring about a new paradigm. And I think it's a wonderful way to address old karma. So you're protected by the fire in all ways, and what it is that you want to bring forth is a possibility. Step away from anybody trying to get in your head, trying to tell you what is logical and what is not logical. I apologize, this is behind me. What is logical versus what isn't logical. And this is about self-belief in newness, okay? So this is a good energy for what we're looking at when it comes to this week, and I'm going to get into the Wednesday wheel meditation right now, okay? So I love you, Healing Circle, and everyone else that saw this. Ciao.